Under mounting pressure from President Trump, NATO allies have agreed to spend 5% of their GDP on defense, more than doubling the current 2% target. The dramatic spending commitment reflects the Trump administration's demands for burden sharing.
With this plan, allies have agreed to invest 5% of GDP in defense. This is a significant commitment in response to significant threats to our security. It includes at least 3.5% of GDP invested in core defense requirements, a benchmark that until today was set at 2%.
The new formula splits the spending. 3.5% for core military needs like weapons and troops, plus 1.5% for broader security investments. Takeaway 2, alliance under Trump pressure. Facing what Secretary Rubio called the Trump summit, European allies have capitulated to decades of American demands for equal defense spending. The pressure campaign has finally forced NATO's hand.
There are two issues to this and to the 5%. One is that there is this consistent ask from the US. This started already with Eisenhower in the 1950s. For the Europeans and the Canadians to equalize with what the US is spending. And now, finally, we're going to do that.
Rutte acknowledges Trump's role was decisive in forcing these commitments from reluctant European allies. Despite ongoing war in Ukraine, NATO stopped short of calling Russia an immediate threat, instead describing it as a long-term challenge. The alliance offered no new concrete actions against Moscow beyond existing support measures.
Of course, they are fighting this totally unprovoked war against Ukraine. But at the same time, and this is what we have been hearing, open source from many senior military leaders in Europe, including the Chief of Defense in Germany, they're building up their armed forces and reconstituting their armed forces at such a pace that they could be ready in 3, 5, or 7 years to attack NATO.
NATO's response remains focused on spending increases rather than immediate military measures against Russian aggression. Ukrainian President Zelensky attended the summit, receiving familiar pledges of continued financial support from NATO allies, but no new military commitments or pathways to membership.
Including with over 35 billion euros pledged so far this year, with more to follow. All of this, our aim is to keep Ukraine in the fight today so that it can enjoy a lasting peace in the future.
That 35 billion euros for the first half of 2025 maintains existing aid levels but offers no breakthrough in military assistance. Rutte's notably deferential approach to President Trump drew sharp criticism from journalists, with the Secretary General defending what some called flattery as necessary diplomacy.
I mean, would you ever think that this would be the result of this summit if he would not have been re-elected president? Do you really think that the 7 or 8 countries who said, yeah, somewhere in the 2030s we might meet the 2%, we've now all decided in the last 4 or 5 months to get to 2%? So doesn't he deserve some praise?
The Secretary General repeatedly assured allies about American commitment while urging them to stop questioning Trump's reliability.
The United States is totally committed to NATO. The United States is totally committed to Article 5. How many times do we want them to say this?
The massive spending increase promises economic benefits through expanded defense production, though concrete timelines and mechanisms remain unclear. NATO leaders emphasized industrial cooperation and innovation, but provided few specifics on implementation or deadlines. Beyond Europe, Rutte strongly endorsed recent US military strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, offering effusive praise for American military capabilities.
American B-2s, nobody in the world is able to do this. Only the United States to do this. So the B-2s, the fantastic pilots, endorsed fighter jets, the bombs which were used to get deep into these nuclear facilities in Iran, nobody has that type of stuff.
The summit's outcomes reflect Trump's successful pressure campaign on European allies, with NATO prioritizing American demands over immediate security responses to ongoing conflicts.